The way you show up every day shapes your future. People notice you before you even speak. They notice how you stand, how you greet, how you look at them. In seconds, they decide if you're confident or unsure, approachable or distant. That's why improving your personality and confidence isn't something to get around to later. It's something you work on every single day. In this video, I'm giving you daily, realistic tips that anyone can use. No complicated theory, no fake be someone you're not advice, just simple actions that work in real life. You'll learn how to speak in a way that makes people listen, how to carry yourself so you're taken seriously, and how to leave every interaction on a high note. These are habits that build respect fast and help you stand out anywhere. If you want people to remember you for the right reasons, watch closely. This is how you take control of how the world sees you. Starting today, number 1, challenge yourself to speak first in group situations. When you find yourself in a group, it's natural to hang back and wait for someone else to start talking. Most people do it. They think they're being polite, or maybe they're just unsure of what to say. But the truth is, every time you hold back, you're telling yourself you're not ready, and you're telling the group the same thing. If you want to improve your personality and confidence, you must start changing that message. One of the most powerful changes you can make is to speak first in group situations. Speaking first is not about trying to dominate the room. It's about stepping forward and showing the people around you that you're present, engaged, and confident enough to contribute. When you open your mouth first, you set the tone for how people see you. They notice. You suddenly shift from being the quiet observer in the background to someone worth listening to. The first thing you must understand is that confidence doesn't come from waiting until you feel ready. Confidence grows from action. You might think you need more courage before you can speak first, but it works the other way around. You speak first, even if you feel nervous, and that act slowly builds the courage you've been waiting for. You train your mind to accept that you have a place in the conversation. Most people in any group are thinking about themselves. They're wondering what to say, how they look, whether they're making a good impression. This means they're not paying close attention to your every move. You might feel like all eyes are on you, but they're not. They're caught up in their own thoughts. This gives you room to practice without the pressure you think is there. Start small. The next time you walk into a meeting, a gathering, or even a casual group of friends, decide before you step in that you will speak first. It could be something simple, a question, a greeting, or even a short comment about the topic at hand. The point is not to give a perfect statement. The point is to step forward before anyone else. The human brain respects initiative. When you are the first to speak, you send a signal to everyone in that room that you are comfortable and willing to engage. People often take their cues from the person who speaks first. You've seen this before. When one person breaks the silence, the whole group follows. Be that person. You might wonder what to say. The answer is not complicated. You don't need a speech. You can ask a simple, clear question that opens the floor. You can share a quick thought related to the situation. You can even address the group with a basic observation that gets people thinking. The power is in the act, not in the complexity of your words. When you speak first, your posture changes. Your voice carries a little more strength. Your mind starts to believe you belong in that moment. The group sees it too. They don't see hesitation. They see someone who has enough confidence to lead the conversation forward. Over time, this habit shapes your identity. You begin to think of yourself as someone who participates fully instead of waiting on the sidelines. Now, you might face some discomfort at first. That's natural. Your heart might beat faster, your voice might feel shaky. That's a sign you're stepping out of your old pattern. And that's exactly what you want. If it feels slightly uncomfortable, it means you're stretching your limits. It means you're doing something your old self would have avoided. Don't confuse speaking first with talking too much. This isn't about filling the air with words to prove something. This is about making your presence felt in a meaningful way. It's about getting comfortable being the first one to open the door for the discussion. You don't have to keep the floor. You just have to step into it. Every time you speak first, you're building a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. After a while, you won't think twice about it. You'll naturally step into that role without hesitation. And when that happens, your personality will feel more open. Your confidence will feel more natural, and people will treat you with more respect. You'll notice a shift in how people respond to you. They'll start to make eye contact more quickly. They'll direct questions your way. They'll listen to your input with more attention. This is because you've positioned yourself as a contributor, not just a listener. You've shown them you're not afraid to take the first step. There's also a hidden benefit to speaking first. You learn to trust yourself. So many people hold back because they fear they'll say something wrong. But here's the truth. Even if you say something imperfect, nothing disastrous happens. People won't remember every word you said. They'll remember that you had the courage to speak. That courage sticks in their mind more than the content of your sentence. If you want to see real change in your personality and confidence, commit to a simple challenge. For the next 30 days, in every group situation you find yourself in, be the first to speak. Track how it feels. Notice how people react. Watch your own comfort level change over time. You'll start to realize that speaking first is not as risky as you once thought. In fact, it becomes one of the safest ways to show who you are. This practice doesn't just help in formal situations. It works in social gatherings, community events, family discussions, and casual meetups. Wherever there's a group, there's an opportunity to step forward. And the more environments you try it in, the more adaptable and confident you become. Think about the people you admire. Chances are they have a way of taking charge in conversations. They don't hide in the background. They don't wait for permission to speak. They enter the discussion with purpose, even if they don't have all the answers. That quality is not something they were born with. It's something they developed through practice. By speaking first, you also show that you're willing to take responsibility. In any group, the person who starts the conversation is often seen as someone who cares about the outcome. People trust leaders who are willing to go first. Even in small, everyday moments, that trust builds your reputation. It's important to remember that your tone matters. Speaking first will have more impact if you do it with calmness and clarity. A rushed or nervous tone can send the wrong signal. Take a breath, focus your mind, and then speak with steady words. This shows that you're not just eager to talk, you're prepared to communicate. Body language is part of this as well. When you speak first, hold your posture upright. Keep your shoulders back, your head up. These are small adjustments, but they add to the impression you make. People read your body language before they even hear your words. A confident stance, paired with being the first to speak, creates a powerful combination. The great thing about this habit is how it spills into other areas of life. The confidence you build here will follow you into job interviews, networking events, and personal relationships. You'll become more comfortable in negotiations, more willing to share ideas, and more confident in leading discussions. You might even find that speaking first changes how you think about yourself. Instead of wondering if you have value to add, you'll start assuming that your input matters. This mental shift is powerful. It moves you from doubt into certainty, from hesitation into action. There will be times when you misread the situation. Maybe you speak first and it doesn't land perfectly. That's fine. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for growth. Each attempt builds the skill. And the people around you will notice your willingness to engage, even when it's not easy. If you're serious about improving your personality and confidence, understand that this is not just a tip. It's a daily choice. It's a decision you make each time you walk into a room. Will I step forward, or will I let someone else set the tone? When you choose to speak first, you choose to take ownership of your presence. Over time, this simple action will transform how others see you and how you see yourself. You'll stop feeling like an extra in your own story and start feeling like the one guiding the conversation. That change is worth every moment of discomfort you might feel in the beginning. So the next time you're in a group, don't wait, don't hold back. Open your mouth, say your piece, and watch the room respond. That's how you start building the kind of personality and confidence that people respect. And the best part, you'll know that you earned it through your own action, one conversation at a time. Number 2, train yourself to hold eye contact 2 seconds longer. Eye contact is one of the strongest unspoken signals you can give to another person. It tells them you are fully present. It tells them you are confident in yourself and in what it tells them you have nothing to hide. Yet most people break eye contact too soon without even realizing it. They look away quickly, not because they have to, but because they feel that holding someone's gaze for too long might be uncomfortable. If you want to improve your confidence in the way people see you, you must train yourself to hold eye contact just a little longer than feels natural, about 2 seconds longer. When you extend your eye contact, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. People sense a level of assurance from you that they don't get from someone who glances away quickly. It makes your words carry more weight because you look like you believe what you're saying. You don't need to force it into a stare. You're not trying to intimidate anyone. You're simply giving the other person enough time to feel your presence and register that you are there with them, not somewhere else in your mind. Think about how many interactions you have in a day. Conversations with coworkers, casual chats with friends, small exchanges with strangers. Each of these moments is an opportunity to build your confidence through eye contact. If you make it a habit to hold your gaze just a little longer, you will start to see subtle but powerful changes. People will start to lean into you more. They will take your words more seriously. They will feel a connection they didn't expect. Why 2 seconds longer? Because it is just enough to make a difference without feeling unnatural or forced. If you look away too quickly, you can seem unsure, distracted, or even shy. But if you hold on for a moment longer than usual, you signal certainty. That small gap tells the other person that you're not afraid of being seen and you're not afraid of seeing them. You must practice this deliberately because your current habit is probably automatic. Most people break eye contact when they feel a flicker of self-consciousness. You have to override that reflex. Start by becoming aware of how long you currently hold someone's gaze. Notice the moment your instinct tells you to look away. That is the point where you will train yourself to stay just a little longer. In the beginning, you will feel the urge to turn away quickly. That's normal. This is the part of your comfort zone that needs expanding. When you keep your eyes steady for those extra seconds, you'll feel a small rush of discomfort at first. But soon that feeling will fade, and it will be replaced by a quiet sense of control. You'll realize that nothing bad happens when you hold eye contact. In fact, quite the opposite. You gain respect and influence without even asking for it. This habit changes how people experience you. When someone speaks to you and you give them steady eye contact, they feel acknowledged. They feel valued. It makes them want to keep talking to you. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel heard, and eye contact is the simplest way to do that. Your relationships will deepen because of it. You will notice conversations flowing more naturally. People will open up more because they can sense you're giving them your full attention. Eye contact also helps you read the other person more clearly. When you look away too soon, you miss subtle expressions and small changes in their tone or mood. Holding your gaze for those extra seconds allows you to pick up on these signals. You start to understand people better, and that understanding makes you more socially skilled. That, in turn, boosts your confidence in every kind of interaction. There's another important benefit. You begin to calm your own nerves. When you get used to maintaining eye contact, you teach your mind that you belong in the moment. You stop thinking of yourself as an outsider or someone who needs to hide. Instead, you start feeling like an equal in every conversation. This mental shift shows in the way you carry yourself. You stand taller, your voice steadies, Your words feel more natural. If you're wondering how to practice, start with low-pressure situations. Hold eye contact with a cashier when you greet them. Maintain your gaze with a friend while you're talking. Then move on to situations that matter more to you. Meetings, interviews, or conversations with people you respect. The goal is to make those extra seconds feel natural, no matter who you're speaking with. Remember, the purpose is not to make the other person uncomfortable. You're not trying to win a staring contest. You're aiming for a warm, steady gaze that shows sincerity and confidence. You can soften it with a small smile or a relaxed facial expression. The combination makes you approachable while still projecting strength. As you develop this habit, you'll find that it changes the way you feel about yourself. You'll begin to trust your ability to connect with people. You won't shy away from attention because you'll know how to handle it. This is one of the quiet ways confidence is built, not through loud displays or forced behaviors, but through calm, consistent presence. In group settings, holding eye contact with the person speaking shows that you're engaged. It also makes it easier for you to contribute to the conversation because you're already connected to the flow of it. When you speak, people will give you the same attention you gave them. It creates a mutual respect that strengthens your position in any group. You may notice that people who are highly confident hold eye contact naturally. They don't dart their eyes around the room when they're speaking. They focus on the person in front of them and they give their full presence. This is part of what makes them memorable. By training yourself to do the same, you place yourself in that category of people who leave a lasting impression. One thing to keep in mind is cultural sensitivity. In some cultures, prolonged eye contact is seen differently. Be aware of the norms of the environment you're in. But in most situations, holding someone's gaze for 2 seconds longer is a universally positive signal of attention and confidence. You will also see how this affects situations where persuasion is needed. Whether you're presenting an idea, asking for support, or negotiating, steady eye contact strengthens your position. It shows conviction. It makes you seem more believable and trustworthy. People are more likely to agree with someone who looks them in the eyes and speaks with certainty. Another area where this makes a difference is in leadership. If you want people to follow your direction, they have to trust you. Part of that trust comes from seeing your eyes steady on theirs. It shows that you mean what you say and that you're confident in your own decision. Leaders who avoid eye contact weaken their own authority without realizing it. You may have avoided long eye contact in the past because of self-consciousness. Perhaps you worried that people could see your nervousness. But here's the truth. People don't focus on your nervousness as much as you think. What they notice is whether you are engaged with them. And when you hold eye contact longer, they interpret it as strength, not weakness. The beauty of this skill is how it compounds over time. The more you practice, the less effort it takes. It will become part of how you naturally communicate. And with that change, your overall confidence will grow in every area of life. You'll approach conversations without hesitation. You'll meet people's eyes without second-guessing yourself. You'll stand out as someone who is grounded and self-assured. This is not about changing who you are. It's about removing the habits that hide your strengths. Short, fleeting eye contact sends a message you may not intend, that you're unsure or disconnected. By holding eye contact a little longer, you send the opposite message, that you're confident, focused, and present. Even in moments of disagreement, steady eye contact can help. It shows that you're listening and that you're not afraid of the conversation. It can calm tense situations because the other person feels acknowledged. They may not agree with you, but they will respect that you're willing to stay engaged. When you combine this habit with a calm voice and clear words, you create an impression that's hard to ignore. People remember those who make them feel heard and respected. They will associate you with confidence and reliability, and they will be more open to connecting with you in the future. The change won't happen overnight, but it will happen. With each interaction, you'll feel a little more at ease. You'll begin to notice the difference in how people respond to you. Strangers will be friendlier, Friends will share more, colleagues will value your input more seriously, and all of that begins with the simple act of holding someone's gaze 2 seconds longer than you do now. This is one of the smallest, most practical changes you can make to improve your personality and confidence. It requires no special tools, no complicated planning, only your attention and your willingness to practice. And the return on that effort is greater than most people realize. If you truly want to grow your presence and strengthen your confidence, start here. Look into the eyes of the people you speak with. Stay there just a little longer than you're used to. Let them feel your attention. Let yourself feel theirs. And watch how that small shift changes the way you move through the world. Number 3, record your voice daily to improve speaking clarity. Your voice is one of the most powerful tools you have to communicate your personality, confidence, and presence. Yet most people go through life without ever hearing themselves the way others hear them. They speak every day but never stop to evaluate how their words come across. They don't notice if their tone sounds unsure, if their pace is too fast, or if their words blur together. If you want to improve your clarity, confidence, and impact, when you speak, start recording your voice every single day. This habit works because it takes what's usually invisible to you and puts it right in front of you. When you play back your own words, you hear yourself in a way you never can while you're speaking. You'll notice the small habits you didn't know you had. Maybe you rush through sentences. Maybe your voice fades at the end. Maybe you fill every pause with or these things may seem small, but they affect the way people receive your message. When you listen to yourself, you can identify exactly what needs improvement. This is different from just guessing. You're not working blindly. You have clear evidence of how you sound to the world. You can hear the difference between the voice you think you have and the one people actually hear. That awareness is the first step toward real change. At first, hearing yourself might feel uncomfortable. Many people avoid it for that reason. But that discomfort is a sign you're looking at the truth. And the truth is what will help you improve. The more you listen to yourself, the more normal it will feel. Eventually, it becomes a routine, part of developing your communication skills. You don't need expensive equipment your phone is enough. Every day, take a few minutes to record yourself speaking. You can read a short passage from a book, talk about your day, explain something you know well, or practice delivering a point you often make in conversation. The content doesn't matter as much as the practice of speaking and listening back. As you build this habit, you'll start to notice patterns. You might realize that your energy drops halfway through your sentences. You might find your pitch goes up when you're unsure. You might hear that your words blend together when you speak quickly. Each discovery gives you something specific to work on. You can then record yourself again while making adjustments and hear the difference instantly. One of the benefits of recording daily is that you start training your voice for control. You'll learn how to slow your pace so your words are easier to follow. You'll figure out how to add short pauses that make your speech sound more confident. You'll practice finishing sentences with strength instead of letting them trail off. This control sends a strong signal of confidence to anyone listening. Improving your clarity also improves your presence. People naturally pay more attention to someone whose words are easy to understand. When your voice is clear, people don't have to work to follow you. They can focus fully on your message instead of straining to catch every word. That makes you more persuasive, more engaging, and more memorable. Recording yourself also helps you practice using your voice in different ways. You can experiment with adjusting your tone to sound warmer or more serious, depending on the situation. You can practice speaking with more energy to hold attention in group settings. You can try lowering your pitch slightly for a calmer, more authoritative sound. By hearing these changes on playback, you'll know instantly what works and what doesn't. This is not just about public speaking or presentations. A clearer voice helps in everyday situations, from casual conversations to important meetings. It helps you come across as confident when you meet new people. It helps you explain ideas in a way that's easy to follow. It helps you express yourself without hesitation. And all of this starts with being aware of how you sound right now. When you make recording a daily practice, you start to measure your progress. Compare recordings from your first week to those from your third or fourth week. You'll be surprised by how much you improve in a short time. You'll hear yourself becoming more steady, more articulate, and more confident. That progress will motivate you to keep going. The discipline of recording yourself daily also trains you to be intentional with your words. You'll think more about how you speak before you speak. You'll become aware of your pacing, your pronunciation, and your tone even in live conversations. Over time, you won't need to focus as hard. Your improved speaking habits will become natural. Another important effect is that you'll start trusting your own voice more. Many people avoid speaking up because they're unsure how they sound. By listening to yourself regularly, you remove that uncertainty. You'll know exactly how you come across, and you'll have practiced sounding the way you want to sound. That knowledge removes hesitation and replaces it with assurance. As you gain clarity in your voice, your confidence grows in other areas. You'll approach conversations with less anxiety. You'll volunteer to share your thoughts more often. You'll take on situations where you need to speak with conviction, knowing you can handle them. And because you've practiced daily, your voice will support you instead of holding you back. There's also a mental shift that happens. You begin to see speaking as a skill you can shape, not just something you were born with. That perspective gives you control. You stop blaming nerves or personality for weak communication and start working on specific improvements. The daily recordings become your training ground. When you focus on speaking clarity, you're doing more than improving your sound. You're shaping how people experience you. A strong, clear voice signals self-respect. It tells others you value your ideas enough to express them well. That impression stays with them long after the conversation ends. Even if your goal is simply to be more confident in social situations, recording your voice will help. You'll learn to speak in a way that invites people to listen. You'll avoid rushing through your words. You'll remove the small habits that make you sound uncertain. In return, people will respond with more attention, which builds your confidence further. It's easy to skip this practice because it feels like such a small thing. But small things done daily lead to major changes. If you record your voice for just a few minutes each day, in a month, you'll already notice a difference in how you speak and how people react to you. In 3 months, you'll feel like a different person when you open your mouth to speak. This is one of the most practical and direct ways to improve both your personality and your confidence. You can't control how people first see you, but you can control how you sound when you speak. And the way you sound plays a huge role in how people judge your presence, your intelligence, and your credibility. The act of recording and listening every day keeps you honest with yourself. You can't hide from the truth of your own voice, but instead of avoiding it, you use it to grow. You make small adjustments, hear the improvement, and keep building from there. Each day's recording becomes another step toward the speaker you want to be. The work you put in here will benefit you for the rest of your life. Your voice will carry confidence naturally. People will listen when you talk. Opportunities will open because you can communicate clearly and persuasively. And you'll know it. It didn't happen by chance. It happened because you put in the daily effort to train and improve. So commit to this simple discipline. Each day, find a quiet space. Press record and speak. Listen back. Learn from what you hear. Adjust. Repeat tomorrow. Over time, your voice will become one of your greatest strengths, a reflection of the clarity and confidence you've built within yourself. And when people hear you speak, they'll know you're someone worth listening to. Number 4. Start conversations by asking people about their passions. When you meet someone new, or even when you speak with someone you've known for years, the way you start the conversation shapes everything that follows. Most people fall into the same pattern. They open with safe, surface-level questions. They ask about the weather, about work, or about something routine. These questions don't leave much room for real connection. If you want to stand out, if you want to connect in a way that makes people remember you, start by asking them about their passions. Asking about someone's passions is not the same as asking what they do for a living. Work is often about responsibility. Passion is about what lights them up inside. Passion is what someone chooses to do when no one is forcing them. It's the subject they can talk about without watching the clock. When you invite someone to share that part of themselves, you're telling them you value more than just the facts. You value the person. There's something powerful that happens when you ask, "What do you really enjoy doing?" Or "What's something you're deeply interested in?" the other person shifts. Their tone changes. Their eyes brighten. They become more open. You've given them permission to talk about something that matters to them, and most people don't get that opportunity often. You've instantly moved beyond small talk into something more personal and real. Conversations about passion create energy. You'll notice the difference in how people speak when they're describing something they care about. Their voice has more life. Their words flow more easily. They don't have to search for what to say next, because the subject comes naturally. This energy makes the interaction more enjoyable for both of you. You feel more engaged because they're engaged. Starting a conversation this way also makes you memorable. Long after the exchange is over, people remember those who made them feel heard in a genuine way. They may forget your exact words, but they'll remember how you made them feel comfortable enough to share something important. And because passion is personal, sharing it creates a sense of trust. There's a deeper reason why this works so well. Most people feel that others only see the surface of their lives. They have to play roles: employee, parent, neighbor, and those roles don't always show their real interest. When you ask about their passions, you're giving them a moment to set those roles aside and show a piece of their true self. That's rare. And because it's rare, it's valued. To make this work, you have to listen. Asking about someone's passion is only powerful if you give them your full attention when they answer. Keep your eyes on them. Respond to what they're saying. Ask follow-up questions that invite them to go deeper. If they tell you they love painting, don't just say, "That's not." Ask them what kind of art they create, what inspires them, or when they started. This shows that you're genuinely interested, and not just using a conversation trick. You'll also find that people open up more quickly when they feel no judgment in your tone. Not everyone's passion will be something grand or glamorous. Some might have a love for cooking, gardening, fixing cars, or collecting rare books. Treat each answer with the same level of respect. Your reaction tells them whether it's safe to keep talking or whether they should hold back. Starting conversations with this kind of question can also teach you a lot about people. You'll discover talents, skills, and experiences you would never have guessed. You'll learn what motivates them, what they value, and what brings them joy. This insight makes it easier to connect with them in future conversations, because you understand more about who they are. It's important to remember that asking about passion is not just for meeting new people. It's equally effective for strengthening existing relationships. You might think you already know your friends, coworkers, or family members well, but you may never have asked them directly what they care about most. Sometimes even people who are close to us have passions we've never explored with them. Asking about it can bring you closer and open up new shared experiences. The skill here is to make the question feel natural. You don't need to announce, "Tell me your passion." You can weave it into the flow of conversation. If someone mentions they were busy over the weekend, you can say, "What were you working on? Is it something you really enjoy?" If they bring up a hobby in passing, you can ask, "How did you get into that?" This gentle approach makes the conversation feel organic rather than forced. When you practice this habit, you'll notice your own social confidence increasing. You won't have to scramble for small talk topics, because you have a powerful go-to question that works in almost any situation. You'll also notice that people respond more warmly to you. They'll see you as someone who brings good energy into a room, someone they want to talk to again. This kind of conversation is not just about making others feel good. It benefits you too. You'll start to collect ideas, perspectives, and stories from all kinds of people. These stories will inspire you, teach you, and expand your own understanding of the world. You'll hear about journeys, struggles, and triumphs you might never have experienced yourself. And all of that comes from a single question about passion. In professional settings, this approach can be especially valuable. If you meet a potential business partner, client, or colleague, starting with a personal interest question builds rapport faster than diving straight into business. People are more likely to trust and work with someone they feel a personal connection to. And if you know what excites them, you can frame your ideas or collaboration in a way that aligns with their interests. In social settings, it helps you create deeper bonds more quickly. When you're at an event or gathering, people often expect surface conversations. Breaking that expectation by going deeper makes you stand out. You'll have richer conversations in less time, and you'll leave with connections that feel meaningful instead of just familiar. It's worth mentioning that not every answer will lead to a long conversation. Sometimes people won't have much to say, or they may not feel comfortable opening up yet. That's fine. Respect where they are and don't push. Even if they don't share much, they'll remember that you asked, and next time, they may be more willing to share. With practice, you'll start to notice the subtle signals that someone is ready to open up. They'll lean forward slightly, their tone will soften, and they'll begin adding more detail to their answer. When you see this, keep the conversation going. You're in the space where real connection happens. Making this a regular part of your conversations will also sharpen your listening skills. You'll get better at picking up on key words or emotions in what someone says. You'll learn how to respond in a way that encourages more sharing. And as your listening improves, so does your ability to connect with people at a deeper level. This habit is simple, but it has far-reaching effects. You'll no longer feel like you're stuck in the same shallow small talk over and over. You'll have a reliable way to make interactions more engaging. You'll strengthen relationships, build trust faster, and leave a stronger impression wherever you go. When people think back on the conversations they've had, they often forget the small talk, but remember the moments when they got to share something real. By starting with their passions, you give them that moment right away, and because you're the one who created that space, they'll associate that positive feeling with you. In the long run, this is one of the simplest and most effective ways to improve your personality and confidence. You become known as someone who has meaningful conversations, someone who cares about others, someone who draws out the best in people. And that's a reputation worth building. If you want to start building it today, the next time you speak with someone, don't ask the usual question about how they're doing. Ask them what they've been working on that excites them. Ask them what they'd love to spend more time doing. And when they answer, be all there. Listen, engage, respond. That's how you turn a simple exchange into a connection that matters. Number 5, greet people with your head held high every time. The way you greet people tells them a lot about you before you even say a word. Your posture, your expression, and the energy you project send an immediate message. One of the simplest yet most powerful habits you can develop is to greet people with your head held high every single time. This is not about arrogance or showing off. It's about communicating self-respect, awareness, and openness from the very first second of contact. When your head is down, even slightly, you give off the impression of hesitation, shyness, or low energy. People may interpret it as a lack of confidence, even if that's not how you feel inside. On the other hand, when your head is up and your eyes are forward, you show that you are present, alert, and ready to engage. It's a silent signal that says, I value myself, and I value you enough to meet you fully. Think about the times you've met someone who looked away or barely made eye contact as they greeted you. It probably made the interaction feel distant or rushed. Now remember the times someone greeted you with their head high, eyes on you, and a genuine expression. That difference is immediate. You feel acknowledged and respected. You take them more seriously. And that's exactly how people will feel when you greet them this way. Greeting people with your head held high also makes you more approachable. People are drawn to those who project an open and confident energy. Even strangers respond differently when they see someone who looks comfortable in their own presence. In social or professional settings, this small habit can open doors to conversations and opportunities that might otherwise pass you by. You don't have to force a smile every time, but a natural, pleasant expression combined with an upright head posture makes a strong impression. It shows that you're glad to be there, that you're not shrinking away from the moment. It tells people you are engaged with the world instead of retreating from it. Part of the power of this habit comes from what it does for you internally. When you lift your head, your body posture changes, your shoulders open, your chest lifts, and your breathing becomes deeper. This physical shift sends signals to your brain that you are safe and capable. It interrupts any feelings of insecurity and replaces them with a sense of readiness. You carry yourself differently, and that difference changes how people respond to you. Over time, greeting people with your head held high becomes second nature. You won't have to remind yourself to do it. It will be part of how you move through the world. And as that happens, your overall confidence grows because you're consistently reinforcing the message to yourself and others that you are worth noticing and worth engaging with. You can start practicing this in everyday situations. When you walk into a store and see the cashier, lift your head before you speak. When you pass a neighbor, do the same. In meetings, As soon as someone addresses you, make sure your head is up and your eyes are steady before you respond. The more you do this in low-pressure moments, the more natural it will feel in situations that matter more. Some people keep their head down out of habit, not realizing the impact it has. If you've been doing this for years, it might feel strange at first to keep your head up, but that initial discomfort fades quickly. In just a short time, you'll begin to notice how much better your interactions feel. People will seem warmer toward you. They'll smile back more often. They'll engage in conversation more readily. And you'll start to look forward to those greetings instead of rushing through them. It's worth pointing out that greeting people this way has benefits beyond personal confidence. It builds trust. In professional settings, a confident greeting sets the tone for the rest of the interaction. It makes people more likely to listen to you, to take your ideas seriously, and to see you as someone who can handle responsibility. In personal settings, it strengthens bonds and shows the people in your life that they matter to you. When your head is up, you're also able to connect with people in the moment. You notice details about them, their mood, their body language, that you might miss if you were looking down. This awareness allows you to respond more thoughtfully and create more meaningful exchange. A greeting is often just a few seconds long, but it can make a lasting impression. This habit also teaches you presence. In our fast-moving world, it's easy to get lost in your own thoughts, staring at your phone, or thinking about what's next. Greeting people with your head high pulls you back into the present. It forces you to acknowledge the person in front of you, even if it's just for a brief moment. That presence is something people feel immediately, and it makes the interaction more human. It's not about faking confidence. It's about giving your natural confidence a chance to show. Everyone has moments of doubt, but when you greet someone with your head up, you bypass that doubt and act from a place of strength. That small decision in those few seconds can shift the entire dynamic of the conversation that follows. If you want to make this stick, set yourself a small challenge for the next week. In every interaction, whether it's with a stranger, a friend, a coworker, or a family member, greet them with your head held high. Pay attention to how they respond. Notice how you feel. At the end of the week, you'll likely find that you've had warmer, more engaging interactions without changing anything else about what you said. Some people will mirror your energy right away. Others might seem surprised at first. That's because many people go through their day without receiving a confident, intentional greeting. Your presence stands out in a positive way, and once you see how powerful this is, you'll understand why it's worth making a permanent part of your personality. It's also important to remember that this works in both directions. The more you project confidence and openness through your greeting, the more people will greet you the same way. Over time, you'll build a network of warmer, more genuine connections, simply by how you carry yourself in those first few moments. So much of improving your personality and confidence comes down to consistent, intentional action. Greeting people with your head high might seem small, but it's a powerful signal to them and to yourself that you are ready to engage with the world on equal footing. You're not hiding. You're not apologizing for taking up space. You're showing up fully, and that changes everything. From the first time you try it, you'll notice the difference, and as it becomes a habit, it will become part of who you are. Every interaction will begin with a silent but unmistakable message. You are confident, you are present, and you value the person you're speaking with. That's a message worth sending every single time. Number 6, speak slower than usual to appear more self-assured. The speed at which you speak sends signals about your confidence before people even process the meaning of your words. When you speak too fast, you can come across as nervous, uncertain, or overly eager to get your message out. It can make people feel like you are rushing through the interaction, or that you're not fully in control of your thoughts. But when you slow your speech, even slightly, you send a very different message. You appear calm, deliberate, and self-assured. People start to see you as someone who is in control of themselves and the conversation. Speaking slower than usual is not about dragging out your words or sounding unnatural. It's about creating space in your speech so that your message has time to land. When you slow down, your words have weight. Each sentence has room to be understood. People can actually absorb what you're saying instead of struggling to keep up. And because they understand you better, they connect with you more. One of the biggest advantages of slowing your speech is that it forces you to think more clearly. When you rush, your mind races ahead of your mouth, and you risk losing track of what you're trying to say. You might stumble, repeat yourself, or fill the gaps with unnecessary words. But when you slow your pace, you give your brain and mouth time to work together. You choose your words more carefully. You avoid rambling. Your points come across cleaner and stronger. This also makes you sound more confident because you're not afraid of pausing. Many people fear silence in a conversation. They try to fill every second with sound, thinking it will make them seem prepared. But in reality, constant rushing gives off a sense of anxiety. Confident people know that a brief pause is not a weakness. It's a tool. It shows they are comfortable letting their words settle before moving on. Speaking slower helps you control your tone as well. When you rush, your pitch often rises, making you sound tense. Slowing down allows your voice to stay steady and grounded, which projects authority. A calm, even tone invites people to listen. They trust that you believe in what you're saying because you're not racing to get it over with. This habit is especially powerful in important situations: meetings, interviews, presentations, or even meaningful personal conversations. In those moments, your goal is not just to speak, but to be understood and remembered. By slowing down, you create a presence that commands attention. People are more likely to stop what they're doing and focus on you because your delivery feels intentional. It also works in casual settings. When you speak slower in everyday conversation, you give the other person room to engage with you. They can follow your thoughts without feeling overwhelmed. This makes your exchanges feel more relaxed and enjoyable. You become easier to talk to, and people naturally want to spend more time in conversation with you. Slowing your speech takes conscious effort at first. You've likely developed your speaking rhythm over years, and changing it will feel strange. The key is to practice in low-pressure moments, so it becomes second nature when it matters most. You might start by reading something out loud at a slower pace, focusing on letting each sentence breathe. Record yourself and listen back to notice where you tend to rush. Gradually train yourself to keep that slower pace, even when you're speaking off the top of your head. One way to do this is to become aware of your breathing. Fast speech often comes from shallow, quick breaths. Slow, steady speech comes from deeper, controlled breathing. Before you start speaking, take a breath that fills your lungs. As you speak, let your breathing guide your pace. If you run out of breath too soon, it's a sign you're speaking too quickly. Another benefit of slowing down is that it helps reduce filler words like, or like. These slip in when you're trying to keep up with your own rapid pace. When you slow down, you have more time to transition between ideas without relying on filler. Your speech becomes cleaner and more polished, which makes you sound even more confident. There's a psychological effect at play here too. People often equate speed with uncertainty and calm pacing with confidence. Someone who rushes through their sentences can appear as though they're seeking approval or worried about being interrupted. Someone who speaks at a measured pace looks like they expect to be heard and have no fear of taking the time they need. This is why slowing your speech can instantly change how people perceive you. In professional environments, this perception can influence opportunities. A person who speaks with measured clarity is more likely to be seen as capable, reliable, and leadership material. In personal life, it makes you more persuasive and relatable, because people trust those who speak with calm certainty. When you make slowing your speech a habit, you'll notice that people react differently to you. They'll lean in more often. They'll wait for you to finish instead of talking over you. They'll take your opinions more seriously. This change in response will reinforce your own sense of self-assurance, making it easier to keep the habit going. It's important to point out that slowing down doesn't mean speaking with low energy. You can still express enthusiasm and warmth. In fact, slowing down often makes your enthusiasm more effective because it comes through clearly rather than getting lost in a blur of words. You can emphasize key points more naturally, allowing your emotions to support your message instead of overwhelming it. Slowing your speech can also help in moments of disagreement or conflict. Rapid speech in tense situations can escalate emotions, making the conversation harder to manage. Slower speech calms the tone and gives both you and the other person space to think. It can turn a heated exchange into a constructive one, simply by changing the pace. You will also find that slowing down makes you a better listener. When you're not rushing to speak, you can fully process what the other person is saying before you respond. This leads to more thoughtful answers and deeper connections. People feel heard when you respond this way, and that builds trust. The truth is, speaking slower is one of the easiest changes you can make to appear more confident. You don't have to memorize scripts or force a personality shift. You only have to be mindful of your pace and give your words the time they deserve. This one habit can elevate the way people see you and how you feel about yourself. If you commit to practicing, it won't take long before this becomes your natural way of speaking. And when it does, you'll carry that self-assured presence into every conversation, every room, every opportunity. You won't just sound more confident, you will feel it, and others will feel it too. Once you master it, you'll notice that you have more control over how your message is received. You'll know when to slow even further for emphasis, when to pause for effect, and when to let your words breathe so they land fully. That control is the mark of a truly confident communicator, and it starts with the simple choice to speak slower than usual. Number 7. Introduce yourself confidently without waiting for someone to ask. When you walk into a room, meet someone new, or find yourself among strangers, the way you present yourself in the first few seconds matters more than you might realize. Many people wait for someone else to break the ice, to ask their name, to open the conversation. They hang back quietly, hoping the moment will happen naturally. But in doing that, they give away their chance to set the tone for how they will be seen. If you want to be remembered as confident and approachable, you must take the lead. You introduce yourself without waiting for someone to ask. That small act sends a clear and immediate signal. Shows that you are comfortable in your own skin, that you belong in the moment, and that you don't need permission to connect with others. People instinctively respect someone who takes initiative in this way. They see you as proactive, as someone who knows how to engage, as someone worth paying attention to. When you introduce yourself first, you set the pace for the interaction. You remove the awkward hesitation that often happens when no one is sure who should speak first. You make it easier for others to relax because you've taken the responsibility of starting the conversation. And because you've made it easier for them, they respond to you with more openness. The way you do this matters. You don't mumble your name or toss it out casually. You speak clearly, with a tone that carries energy and sincerity. You make eye contact. You smile naturally, not as a performance, but as a way of showing warmth. You keep your body posture open, facing the person fully instead of turning halfway away. This combination communicates both respect and self-assurance. You might think introducing yourself without being asked is a small thing, but it can change the entire course of your interactions. In professional settings, it makes you stand out as someone who takes charge. In social settings, it makes you seem friendly and engaging. In any setting, it breaks down the invisible wall that keeps people from connecting quickly. Some people hesitate because they worry they'll come off as pushy, but a confident introduction is not pushy when done with the right energy. You're not barging in, you're extending an invitation to connect. You're saying, "I'm here and I'd like to know you." Most people appreciate that because it saves them from the awkward work of figuring out how to begin. The habit of introducing yourself first also trains you to be more comfortable in unfamiliar environments. You stop relying on others to guide the interaction. You stop waiting for the perfect moment that rarely comes. Instead, you create the moment yourself, and that habit carries over into other areas of life. You become the person who steps forward instead of hanging back. It's worth practicing this in low-pressure situations, so it becomes natural in high-pressure ones. If you're at a store, introduce yourself to the clerk when you need help. If you're in a small group, greet the person next to you by name and offer yours. If you're meeting a friend's friend, don't wait for them to make the connection. Make it yourself. Each time you do this, you reinforce the belief that you can step into any interaction with confidence. Another benefit is that you make yourself memorable. People meet many faces in a day, and most of those faces blur together. But the person who confidently steps up, offers their name, and looks them in the eye stands out. They remember you because you made an impression that most people don't bother to make. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you take the initiative. You stop thinking of yourself as an outsider waiting to be included. You start seeing yourself as an active participant in every setting you enter. That mental change will naturally influence your body language, your tone, and the way people perceive you. Your introduction can also be a chance to shape the way people think of you from the start. If it's appropriate, you can briefly add a bit about what you do or what you're there for. This doesn't mean launching into a full story, but giving a little context can create a stronger connection. For example, saying, "Hi, I'm Alex. I just joined the team last week," gives people something to respond to. It invites them to continue the conversation. When you introduce yourself first, you also create opportunities that might otherwise pass you by. You never know where a simple connection can lead. A new friendship, a useful contact, a collaboration, or just a meaningful exchange. But those doors stay closed if you never take the first step. This approach also makes it easier to meet people in group. In group situations, it's easy to fade into the background if you don't speak up early. But when you go around and introduce yourself to individuals, you establish a small connection with each of them. That makes it much easier to join group discussions later, because you've already broken the ice. The first few seconds of meeting someone create a lasting impression. People quickly form an opinion about whether you are confident, approachable, and worth engaging with. By introducing yourself clearly and confidently without hesitation, you give them every reason to put you in the positive category. If you want this to feel natural, pay attention to your physical presence when you introduce yourself. Stand or sit upright. Face the person directly. Keep your tone steady and strong without sounding forced. Let your facial expression match the warmth of your words. The more aligned your voice, body, and expression are, the more believable your confidence will be. Don't overlook the importance of saying the other person's name when they respond. This small gesture shows attentiveness and respect. It also helps you remember their name, which will serve you well later in the conversation. People notice when you remember them, and it strengthens the connection you've just started. Over time, this habit changes the way you experience social situations. Instead of dreading introductions or waiting for others to include you, you'll begin to look forward to making the first move. You'll feel more in control of your interactions. You'll see yourself as someone who can handle new situations with ease, and others will see you the same way. Even if you're naturally reserved, you can develop this skill. Confidence in introductions is not a personality trait you either have or don't have. It's a practice. The more you do it, the more it becomes part of who you are. Eventually, you won't have to think about it. You'll step into a new situation and automatically greet people without hesitation. People are drawn to those who make things easier for them. By introducing yourself without waiting to be asked, you remove the awkwardness, set a friendly tone, and make the path clear for real conversation. This is one of those small, simple habits that can make a big difference in how others see you and how you see yourself. Every time you do it, you're reinforcing a message to yourself and to the world that you are confident, that you are willing to connect, and that you don't need to be invited to participate in life. That's a message worth sending every time you meet someone new. Number 8, replace filler words with short pauses when speaking. The way you speak shapes how people perceive your confidence, clarity, and authority. One of the quickest ways to weaken that perception is by filling your sentences with unnecessary sounds or words, and other verbal clutter. These filler words often slip in without you realizing it. They don't add meaning, and they can make your speech sound hesitant, unfocused, or less convincing. If you want your communication to be sharper and more confident, start replacing filler words with short, intentional pauses. A pause is not a weakness. In fact, it's one of the most powerful tools you have as a speaker. It gives you a moment to collect your thoughts. It signals to your listener that you are deliberate in what you say. It allows your words to sink in before you continue. And most importantly, it removes the need to fill the silence with meaningless sounds. When you use a filler word, it often comes from a fear of silence. You might feel like you have to keep talking without any gap, as if stopping for even a second will make you seem unprepared. But the truth is, that second of silence can make you appear more in control, not less. It shows that you are thinking, that you're not rushing, and that you trust the strength of your message. Replacing filler words with pauses takes awareness and practice. You first need to notice how often you use them. You might not think you do it much, but if you record yourself speaking, you may be surprised. Many people pepper their sentences with filler words so frequently that it becomes a habit the listener notices before the speaker does. Hearing yourself is the first step to breaking that habit. Once you're aware, the goal is not to fill every gap in your speech, but to let those gaps work for you. When you feel the urge to say, stop yourself, let the silence be there. It will feel strange at first because you're not used to it. But as you get comfortable with it, you'll realize that no one is judging you for taking a moment to breathe and think. In fact, the pause can work to your advantage in many ways. It gives your audience a chance to process your last point. It creates a natural rhythm in your speech that makes you easier to follow. It can even build anticipation, keeping people engaged because they want to hear what comes next. Skilled communicators know how to use pauses for emphasis, letting a point settle before moving forward. There's also a difference in how you feel when you replace filler words with pauses. Instead of racing to fill space, you become more mindful of your delivery. You start choosing your words more carefully. You give yourself the room to adjust your phrasing mid-sentence, if needed. This leads to speech that is more precise and intentional, which in turn makes you sound more credible. This habit will serve you in every area of life. In meetings, presentations, interviews, conversations, and even casual discussions. People are naturally drawn to speakers who sound confident and composed. They trust them more, they remember their points better, and they see them as people who know what they're talking about. By reducing fillers and using pauses, you place yourself in that category. It's worth noting that pauses don't have to be long to be effective. Sometimes even half a second of silence is enough to break the filler habit. The key is to keep your expression steady and your posture engaged during the pause, so it feels intentional, not like you've lost your place. That way, the silence communicates thoughtfulness rather than uncertainty. Another benefit is that removing fillers often improves your listening skills. When you're not rushing to fill space, you become more comfortable letting others speak. You start to focus more on their words instead of preparing your next sentence while they're still talking. This makes your responses more thoughtful and relevant, which deepens your connection with people. Pauses also make your speech more memorable. If you constantly talk without breaks, your words can blur together. But when you pause at the right moments, your important points stand out. People recall those points later because you gave them a moment to lock them into memory. Politicians, leaders, and top public speakers use this technique regularly because it works. Practicing this skill can be simple, but requires consistency. Start by slowing your pace slightly in everyday conversations. Pay attention to moments when you feel the urge to throw in a filler word. Replace it with a breath or a short pause. At first, you'll have to think about it, but eventually it will become second nature. If you want a more structured approach, practice reading something aloud while deliberately pausing at the end of each sentence and before starting the next one. Then try speaking about a familiar topic without preparation, focusing on keeping your pace steady and letting pauses replace any fillers that want to creep in. Over time, you'll find yourself doing it naturally in real conversations. This change might feel small, but its impact is big. Removing fillers and using pauses transforms how others experience you as a communicator. Your words sound cleaner. Your points land with more force. People see you as someone who thinks before they speak, someone who respects their own message enough to deliver it well. It also changes the way you see yourself. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who has to fill every second with noise. You become more comfortable with silence, both in yourself and from others. That comfort is a sign of true confidence. It shows you're not afraid of letting the moment breathe. In professional situations, this can set you apart quickly. Imagine two people giving the same information, one rushing through it with and every few seconds, the other speaking at a steady pace with clear pauses between thoughts. The second person will almost always be taken more seriously, even if their content is identical. The delivery shapes the perception. In personal relationships, it can make your conversations feel calmer and more engaging. People appreciate when you give space for thoughts instead of filling the air with nervous sounds. They feel less pressured and more able to contribute. It makes interactions smoother and more pleasant for both sides. The truth is, most people have never been taught how to use pauses effectively. They fall into filler habits without realizing it, and those habits stay with them for years. But once you see the difference this change makes, you won't want to go back. You'll notice how much more in control you feel when you choose silence over clutter. You'll notice how much more respect you get from others, because your words feel deliberate. Every time you choose a pause over a filler, you strengthen your communication muscle. Over weeks and months, this habit compounds into a natural, confident speaking style. And because it's rooted in mindfulness and control, it becomes part of your personality, the way people expect you to speak, the way they remember you. So the next time you feel a filler word coming, stop yourself. Take that short pause. Let your mind catch up with your mouth. Let your audience feel the weight of what you've just said before you move on. That small intentional choice will make you a stronger, clearer, and more confident communicator, and people will notice the difference instantly. Number 9. End conversations on a strong and positive note. The way you end a conversation leaves a stronger impression than most people realize. You can have a great exchange, share interesting ideas, and build a good connection. But if you close it off in a weak or awkward way, the memory of the conversation loses some of its value. Ending on a strong and positive note sets the tone for how people remember you and whether they look forward to speaking with you again. It's not just about being polite. It's about creating a final moment that reinforces respect, warmth, and confidence. Many people end conversations abruptly. They drift off without a clear goodbye, check their phone, or just walk away when they feel the moment is over. Others end with a flat, "All right, I'll see you," that doesn't carry any energy. These approaches miss an opportunity. The last seconds of a conversation can seal the impression you've built or undo part of it. If you want to be seen as someone worth knowing and engaging with, you must be intentional about those final moments. A strong ending does several things at once. It signals that you valued the time spent talking. It makes the other person feel appreciated. It leaves them with a positive emotional charge, which keeps you in their mind in a good way. And it gives closure to the exchange, rather than letting it fade away awkwardly. Ending on a positive note doesn't mean overdoing it or forcing fake enthusiasm. It's about being genuine while making sure your closing words carry warmth and intention. That could mean expressing appreciation for the conversation, acknowledging something meaningful they shared, or offering an encouraging remark. The key is that it feels personal, not rehearsed. For example, instead of saying, "Well, I've got to go," you might say, "I really enjoyed talking with you today. Let's do this again soon." That one small change tells the other person that your time together mattered to you and that you value keeping the connection alive. This is especially important in professional settings, where relationships often hinge on how people feel about interacting with you. Body language plays a big role in this as well. As you close the conversation, maintain open posture, keep your head up, and make eye contact. If appropriate, offer a handshake or a light touch on the arm as a physical sign of connection. These nonverbal cues reinforce the sincerity of your words. People often remember how they felt more than what was said, and your body language will shape that feeling. Tone matters too. A steady, confident tone paired with genuine warmth will stick in someone's memory far longer than a rushed or distracted goodbye. Even if you're in a hurry, take a few seconds to make your closing words sound intentional. That brief investment pays off in how you're perceived. In personal interactions, ending on a strong and positive note can deepen relationships. It might be as simple as saying, "I'm really glad we caught up today," or "Talking to you always makes my day better." These comments show that the interaction was meaningful for you, and they invite future connections. People gravitate toward those who make them feel good when the conversation ends. In professional situations, the principle is just as valuable. If you're wrapping up a meeting, you might say, "I appreciate your time today, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we accomplish next." This not only ends things positively, but also leaves the door open for continued collaboration. It makes people more likely to think of you as a partner they want to work with again. The way you end a conversation can also influence whether people think of you as confident. If you leave quietly without clearly signaling the end, it can seem like you're unsure of yourself. If you close decisively yet warmly, you show that you know how to handle interactions from start to finish. This is a subtle but powerful way to demonstrate leadership quality. Some people think they need to keep talking until the very last second to maintain rapport. But the opposite is often true. A clean, confident ending shows that you respect both your time and theirs. It prevents the conversation from dragging past its natural peak, which keeps the memory of it strong and positive. There's also an element of emotional intelligence in knowing when and how to end well. You can sense when the conversation has reached a natural point of closure, and instead of letting it taper off awkwardly, you step in with a confident close. That skill makes you a smoother communicator and leaves people with a better impression. One of the easiest ways to practice is to plan your final words in advance for certain situations. This doesn't mean memorizing a script, but having a mental framework for how you'll wrap things up. You might think, when I'm ready to go, I'll express appreciation, mention something positive from our talk, and set the stage for seeing them again. Over time, this becomes second nature. The benefits extend beyond individual conversation. When you consistently end interactions well, people start to associate you with positive feelings. They know that time spent with you ends on a good note, and that makes them more eager to engage with you in the future. In networking, friendship, and professional life, this reputation is invaluable. This habit also influences how you feel about yourself. When you take control of how you exit a conversation, you reinforce your own sense of confidence and capability. You stop leaving situations wondering if you came across the way you wanted to. Instead, you know that you left a clear, positive impression. That self-assurance carries into the next interaction, creating a cycle of confident communication. Even brief exchanges benefit from this approach. If you run into someone in passing and have a quick chat, ending with a smile and a friendly, "Good seeing you, take care," is far more impactful than walking away mid-thought. Those small moments build up over time, shaping the way people think of you. In high-stakes conversations, a strong close is even more critical. Whether you're in a job interview, a sales pitch, or a negotiation, the final impression you leave often weighs heavily in the outcome. A positive and confident ending can tip the balance in your favor, even if the rest of the conversation had mixed moments. People tend to remember the last thing they heard and felt, so make sure it works for you, not against you. Ending conversations on a strong and positive note is not about being overly polished or fake. It's about making sure that the connection you've just built doesn't fade out in an uncertain or forgettable way. It's about honoring the time you've just shared and setting the stage for the next time you meet. Every interaction is an opportunity to leave someone with a better feeling than they had before speaking with you. When you take charge of those final moments, you're shaping how people remember you, and that memory can open doors long after the conversation is over. By making this a habit, you build a lasting reputation for being confident, thoughtful, and genuinely enjoyable to talk to. And that is the kind of impression that keeps people coming back. Number 10, make your handshake firm to leave a lasting impression. The moment you meet someone for the first time, before you exchange more than a few words, there's already an impression being formed. One of the most direct and immediate ways that impression is shaped is through a handshake. A weak, limp handshake can silently communicate uncertainty, lack of presence, or low confidence, while a firm and steady handshake sends a completely different message, one of confidence, self-assurance, and respect. It's a nonverbal statement that you take the interaction seriously and that you value the person you're meeting. A firm handshake is not about crushing someone's hand or trying to overpower them. It's about offering a grip that is strong enough to feel intentional and present, yet relaxed enough to be comfortable. It says, "I am here. I am engaged. I am confident." This is a signal people pick up instantly. They don't need to analyze it. They feel it. When you give a proper handshake, you're showing awareness of social presence. You're saying without words that you are meeting them as an equal, not as someone hesitant to connect. You're also taking control of the moment in a subtle but impactful way. Rather than waiting for them to extend their hand, you can initiate confidently when the timing is right, which reinforces your role as someone proactive. Your handshake is one of those details that people remember even if they don't consciously focus on it. Someone might not recall every word you said, but they'll remember if your handshake felt awkward, too weak, or overly aggressive. On the other hand, They'll remember if it felt natural, strong, and respectful. These small moments are the building blocks of first impressions. And first impressions often shape the opportunities and connections that follow. A good handshake starts with posture. Stand upright, shoulders open, and face the person directly. This body position shows you are fully engaged. As you extend your hand, keep your eyes on theirs, not on your own hand. Eye contact during a handshake is one of the strongest ways to build trust in those first few seconds. Pairing that with a genuine, natural smile makes the gesture feel even more authentic. When your hands connect, aim for a complete grip. The web between your thumb and index finger should meet theirs fully. Your grip should be firm but never painful. The handshake should last about 2 to 3 seconds, which is enough time to acknowledge the greeting without making it uncomfortable. If you're in a culture where shaking hands is common, this small detail can say a lot about your social and professional awareness. Many people underestimate how much confidence can be communicated through a handshake. In professional environments, it can influence how people see your competence before you even discuss your skills. In personal interactions, it can set the tone for a friendly and equal connection. The consistency of a good handshake reinforces your reputation over time. People will start to expect a certain presence from you in every interaction. A weak handshake, even if unintentional, can leave doubts about your confidence. Some people avoid a firm grip because they don't want to seem aggressive. But the truth is, a well-balanced handshake doesn't intimidate. It reassures. It says you're comfortable in the situation and confident in meeting them. Likewise, an overly aggressive grip can make you seem competitive in the wrong way, as though you're trying to dominate rather than connect. The goal is balanced firmness. Practicing this skill is worthwhile, especially if you haven't thought about it much before. Try it with friends or colleagues you trust and get feedback. Notice if your grip feels too light, too tight, or just right. Practice holding your hand steady and matching it with your eye contact and expression. These combined elements make the handshake a cohesive, powerful gesture rather than just a mechanical motion. It's also important to adapt slightly to the situation. In a formal meeting, your handshake should be professional and precise. In a friendly or casual setting, it can be slightly warmer and paired with a small gesture like a light pat on the shoulder if appropriate. In both cases, the foundation is the same. Steady posture, full grip, clear eye contact, and a confident but comfortable firmness. When you make this a consistent habit, you'll start noticing its effect on how people respond to you. In interviews, the person on the other side of the table will often lean in a bit more and engage with you more openly after a solid handshake. In networking events, people will remember you as someone who was confident and easy to connect with. In everyday life, it simply reinforces the image of someone who knows how to meet others with presence. The simple action also does something for you internally. Every time you give a firm handshake, you remind yourself that you belong in the space you're in. You're not sneaking into the interaction. You're arriving with intention. That shift in mindset adds to your confidence in the moments that follow. You start the conversation from a position of strength rather than trying to build it up after a hesitant start. It also shows respect for the other person. A firm handshake says, "I value meeting you enough to be fully here." People feel that respect immediately. They're more likely to give you their attention and respond to you with the same level of engagement. This mutual respect sets the tone for healthier, more productive conversations. In some situations, you may encounter people with different preferences or cultural norms around handshake. Being observant is key. You can still offer a handshake that is warm, confident, and suited to the context. The principles remain the same: presence, posture, eye contact, and a grip that matches the energy of the meeting. Over time, your handshake becomes part of your personal brand. Just as people might remember you for your communication style or your sense of professionalism, they'll remember that meeting you feels solid and reassuring from the very first touch. That consistency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of both personal and professional relationships. The beauty of this skill is that it's simple to master and takes only a few seconds to apply. Yet it carries long-term benefits. The difference between a limp handshake and a confident one can be the difference between being remembered and being forgotten. It can be the difference between starting on equal footing and having to work harder to earn respect during the conversation. Every meeting, every introduction, every chance encounter is an opportunity to practice. And every time you extend your hand with confidence, you are reinforcing not only how others see you, but also how you see yourself. You're telling the world and reminding yourself that you belong, that you're ready, and that you value the moment. That's why a firm handshake is far more than a formality. It's a signal of character, a display of confidence, and a gesture of respect, all in one. It's a habit worth perfecting, because those first few seconds can set the stage for everything that follows. When you make it part of who you are, you carry that quiet strength into every interaction, leaving people with no doubt that meeting you was worth remembering. Confidence and personality aren't built in a single day. They're built in the small, deliberate actions you take every day. Every conversation, every greeting, every interaction is your chance to show the best version of yourself. If you take even one of the tips from this video and start using it today, you'll notice how differently people respond to you. And once you see that change, you'll want to keep going. The truth is, improving your personality and confidence isn't a one-time project. It's a daily choice. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You'll start walking into rooms knowing you belong there, speaking with the kind of certainty people can't ignore. So start today. Apply these tips. And when you're ready to take the next step, come back for more, because your growth doesn't stop here. And I'll be here to help you keep building.